We've been seeing a lot of 50 Cent heading towards Jim Jones having some issues when it comes to the landlord of this property.
So, I appreciate the promo. I love free promo. I ain't gonna miss a beat. You dig?
One thing I don't like about how Jim and them like interpret or take things from 50 Cent, why when he ran into me, he didn't say, yo, Act, thank you for all the free promo. 50 is getting the exclusive info that their podcast space has no electricity. Light bill goes under the landlord's name. So you know what the landlord probably does? The landlord cut the power. No power.
The beef between 50 Cent and Jim Jones just jumped to a whole different level. After Jones threw shots at 50's documentary, 50 didn't stay quiet. Instead, he clapped back by putting Jones on blast over claims of unpaid rent and even dropped security footage showing Jones forcing his way into his own studio. Yeah, this situation turned messy fast, and things almost got physical when Jones reportedly showed up near 50's studio spot, making everything even more tense. So what really went down with this lockout situation? On February 19th, 2026, Jim Jones pulled up to his Bronx studio expecting business as usual. Instead, the place looked ghosted, lights off, locks switched, and his key not working anymore. That is when things took a wild turn. Feeling locked out of his own space, Jones forced his way inside later that same night. About 7 hours later, 50 Cent had the footage posted on Instagram for everybody to see. The security camera showed a tight hallway with crystal clear video on the audio. Somebody could be heard saying the lights got cut. Then Jones steps into view, walks straight up to the locked studio door, and starts kicking at it trying to get in. The first door would not move, but Jones stayed on it, putting force behind every kick. Then he moved to a second door, and this time it flew open, coming right off the hinges. He walked inside with 2 other men right behind him like it was nothing. The whole moment lasted less than a minute, but online it spread like crazy. By the next morning, everybody was already talking about it. 50 Cent did not just post a clip either. He also posted what he said was paperwork, including a photo of a lease termination notice to back up his claims. The legal paperwork was reportedly addressed to Joseph Jones, which is Jim Jones's government name. The documents listed IFC Management LLC and showed 2 default notices that had already expired with no extensions left on the table. The first document showed a 15-day notice of default dated January 5th, 2026 with a deadline of January 22nd. When that date passed with no response, a second notice followed, this time a 5-day termination warning. That second notice reportedly dropped February 10th and expired February 17th.
Now, 50 also posts the company that says they did put a notice that Jim Jones was evicted. And the eviction notice actually says this. It's from IFC Management LLC to Joseph Jones. The tenant was served with a 15-day notice of default dated January 5th, 2026, which expired on January 22nd, 2026. Okay? A 5-day notice of termination dated February 10th, which also expired on February 17th. The tenancy at the premise has been terminated.
Then on February 19th, just 2 days after the deadline, Jones showed up with his team and found locked doors and no power running through the place. The building, known as the IFC Factory, short for Intellectual Factory of Content, was supposed to be a big creative move for him. Jones had signed a lease back in December 2025 and was talking heavy about turning the spot into a full content playground. Plans included a soundstage, a gym, a barbershop, even a small bodega type setup. The idea was to make it a major content hub connected to the Let's Rap About It podcast he does with Mineo, Fabulous, and Dave East. But just 2 months after signing, he was stuck in the hallway trying to kick his way back inside, and the internet was eating it up. When 50 Cent posted the footage, his caption added even more spice. He wrote, "Damn bro, this wouldn't happen if we was friends. Wanna be friends? I don't know. Let's rap about it. LOL." That post showed his mindset clear as day. No loud threats, no wild talk, just slick sarcasm and trolling energy while he watched everything play out online. What really made this situation stand out was that the footage did more than show somebody locked out. It showed how fast things can flip in the business side of the rap game when paperwork and payments get involved. This whole situation completely flipped the story Jim Jones had been building in public, and that the IFC Factory was not just some random lease to him. He had been showing the whole process on Instagram, posting construction clips, talking about plans for the gym, the barbershop, the bodega, but all of it. He was pushing a big boss image, making it look like he was building something major for the culture. Then, reality hit different. The same building he was proudly showing off suddenly showed up online with no lights, no access, and him stuck in the hallway trying to force his way back inside. The image shift was wild. One minute he looked like a business boss with a vision, the next minute he looked like somebody desperately trying to get back into a spot he could not access anymore. When the property owners reportedly lost patience and the situation escalated, 50 Cent saw the perfect moment to strike online. Posting that footage was not just about embarrassing Jones for getting locked out, it was about tearing down the whole image Jones had connected to that location. Every construction post, every progress video, every "I'm building this for the culture" moment suddenly became ammo for jokes online. The same building he once represented proudly was now the same building he reportedly could not even walk into. But the crazy part is the lockout was not even the beginning of this drama.
He posted a video, and I want you guys to take notice of the difference. You heard Jim? Because he don't like that. So what you talking about?
It was the final chapter of something that started months earlier. To really understand how things got this tense, you have to rewind back to December 2025. That is when things quietly started heating up during an episode of the Let's Rap About It podcast. 4 grown men sitting around talking confidently about 50 Cent's Netflix docuseries, not knowing their opinions would later spark a much bigger situation. During that episode, they called the project a mockumentary. They joked about the tone, questioned the production, and spoke like the project missed the mark. From the outside, it just looked like normal podcast talk. Just strong opinions, debate energy, and the kind of commentary that usually trends for a few days and then disappears by the end of the week. But this time it did not disappear. But this was not just some random show they were talking about. 50 Cent was the executive producer of that docuseries. His name was attached, his reputation was attached, and his money was behind it. So from his point of view, this was personal business, and here were these guys sitting inside a building they were reportedly struggling to afford, throwing jokes at his project on camera. 50 did not jump into a public argument. He did not respond with music or interviews. Instead, he moved in a different way, quiet, calculated, and straight to the paperwork. Soon after, he posted audio on Instagram from a phone call with a man he called Sam, who he said was connected to the building management. In that recording, the man could allegedly be heard talking about frustration over unpaid rent connected to the IFC factory lease. Then 50 added even more pressure by posting captions calling the podcast crew squatters and suggesting they were behind on payments. That is when the money talk started getting serious. The numbers 50 Cent mentioned were huge. Some posts claimed overdue amounts between $80,000 and $180,000 under earlier lease terms. Then other posts pushed the total closer to $250,000 when talking about the full studio space. Whether all numbers were confirmed or disputed, the internet definitely reacted to those claims. Then things got even more interesting when 50 started hinting he might try to buy the entire building. He also suggested he could try to secure 50% ownership of the Let's Rap About It podcast as part of a bigger play. Meanwhile, the podcast crew reportedly tried to downplay everything, saying the numbers were handled and the situation was under control. Then came a major update. 50 Cent later posted that Jim Jones had allegedly wired $200,000 toward the balance. His caption read, "So Jim wired the $200K over. Okay, cool. He may turn out to be a good tenant after all. Samuel, if you need me to make them pay, just give me a ring. I'm here." But even after that payment, the online pressure did not stop. 50 kept posting. One clip even showed the studio suddenly going dark during a recording session. Cameras still rolling, phones coming out, flashlights switching on, everybody on camera trying to figure out what just happened while the power was out mid-session.
How come when 50 does it, it's, yo, thanks for the promo. 50 call him a squatter, bum-ass niggas. Like, 50 say anything about him, they call it free promo.
That moment did not look random at all. To many watching online, it looked like a power move. 50 Cent was basically showing that he had an influence around what was happening in that building, and that the podcast situation depended on people who were now on his side. The power outage clip hit way harder than any rent discussion because you could actually see the problem happening in real time. When the rent claims first came out, Jones and the crew could push back. They could say the numbers were wrong, exaggerated, or taken out of context. But a video showing podcast hosts standing in complete darkness, using iPhone flashlights just to see each other, that was different. That kind of moment speaks for itself, and people online were quick to react. The footage made the whole operation look unstable instead of professional, instead of looking like a strong media platform. It gave critics the chance to say it looked unorganized and uncertain. Fair or not, perception is everything online, and that clip gave people a lot to talk about. Then things got even quieter. The podcast suddenly stopped dropping new episodes. 1 week passed, then 2, then 3. No uploads, no announcements, no explanations. For a show that was trying to build momentum, that kind of silence stood out in a big way. In the podcast world, consistency is everything. Fans expect new episodes like clockwork, just like people wait for new episodes of their favorite shows. When nothing drops and nobody says why, people start connecting their own dots. By the second and third week of silence, people online were already forming their own opinions about what was happening. The same crew that had been talking bold online now looked like they were dealing with serious setbacks. Meanwhile, 50 Cent never had to argue face to face. The pressure he applied through posts and moments like these spoke loud enough on their own. Then February 17th came and the termination notice officially expired. Just 48 hours later, everything changed. The electricity was off, the locks were changed, and Jim Jones was caught on camera in the hallway kicking a door trying to get back inside. That is when the bigger questions started floating around. How did 50 Cent even get this kind of influence in a situation like this?
Y'all think y'all gonna keep playing with me and keep recording that podcast, acting like y'all a boss? That. Y'all gonna do it in darkness.
Darkness, everybody!
How does somebody with no direct name on a Bronx commercial lease end up with this much pressure connected to what happens inside that building? That answer does not start in 2026. It actually goes all the way back to 2007. And it shows the same long game strategy 50 has been known for playing. If you strip away the security clips, the lease drama, and the social media posts, the same pattern shows up. Back in 2007, 50 Cent and Cameron were in the middle of a serious New York rap rivalry. Things really heated up after 50 went on Angie Martinez's Hot 97 show and called Coke Records, the label connected to Cameron and Dipset, a place where careers slowed down. Cameron responded quickly, calling in and firing back. Diss tracks started dropping, blogs started posting, and the whole hip-hop world was watching the back and forth. But while everybody else was focused on music, 50 Cent was making quieter moves behind the scenes. Right in the middle of that tension, he made two interesting moves involving Jim Jones and Juelz Santana, and neither move had anything to do with rap battles. The first play was bringing Jim Jones onto BT's Rap City, while 50 was guest co-hosting. Jones ended up sitting with the G-Unit crew on camera and gave them unexpected respect. During that appearance, Jones even said G-Unit was one of the few movements that I do respect. That moment raised eyebrows because of the bigger Dipset tension happening at the time. It showed how 50 was willing to play the long game, making relationship moves while everyone else was focused on the obvious drama. While Cameron was going head to head with G-Unit, one of his own teammates was appearing on BET showing them public respect. That definitely raised eyebrows at the time. Then 50 Cent made another unexpected move. He brought Jim Jones and Juelz Santana on stage as surprise guests during a live New York show. The crowd was packed, the energy was loud, and both artists ended up performing alongside G-Unit. Inside Dipset, that moment was later viewed by some as a serious loyalty issue.
Now the tenants who actually pay their bills, the tenants who pay their bills, come outside to say what's going on. Keep in mind, the nigga who kicked them out owns the building. So the tenants who pay their bills are like, hey, are y'all okay down there? What's up? What up, blood? What up? What up, nigga? What up? What's the problem? Hey, I'm just wondering why y'all are kicking a door in.
Years later, Cameron even talked about it during his interview on the Talk with Flea YouTube show. He explained that Dipset was already dealing with internal problems nobody outside the circle really knew about. So when Jones and Santana showed up on stage with their rivals, it did not just look awkward. It reportedly made existing tensions worse. Cameron described it as a checkmate type move and admitted he had to respect how strategic it was, even if it did not go in his favor. Meanwhile, 50 Cent has always been known for playing situations like chess instead of checkers. Reports and interviews over the years have suggested he saw it as a long-term strategy, building connections and shifting alliances while groups around him were already dealing with pressure. Looking at both timelines, some fans say the pattern feels similar. In 2007, the moves were public appearances and cosigns. By 2025 and 2026, the drama seemed more about business relationships and who had influence behind the scenes, different tools, same reputation for strategic thinking. Some critics have also pointed out that Jones often found himself in the middle of these complicated situations. From sitting with G-Unit on BET to later business conflicts, people online have debated his position in these moments. Whether fair or not, those conversations became part of the bigger story around these rivalries. He was the one seen on stage with the rival camp. Not Cameron, not Juelz Santana, but Jim Jones. And because that history exists, every time 50 Cent puts pressure on Jones publicly, people online quickly bring up those old moments. The past does not disappear on the internet, Those old clips and appearances always seem to resurface when tensions rise again. Because of that history, loyalty arguments sometimes get questioned by critics who point back to those earlier situations. And 50 clearly understands how to use history as part of his strategy. This pattern is not just about one moment either. Fans say it shows up again and again throughout his career. Even during times when it looked like 50 Cent was the one facing setbacks, he still found ways to stay in the game. Back in 2015, he was dealing with major legal financial judgments at the same time, one tied to Sleek Audio for about $17 million and another connected to a privacy case involving Lastonia Leviston for about $5 million. When he filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, blogs rushed to call it a downfall. But Chapter 11 is about restructuring, not disappearing. He reportedly worked out a repayment plan worth around $23 million spread over several years and kept moving forward with his business plans. During that same period, he was still posting confidently on Instagram, sometimes showing photos with cash that had people talking. Some thought he was just trolling, but during an interview on Conan, he explained it was about image and branding. After coming through that situation, his business moves did not slow down. By 2026, reports said he had secured a $124 million commitment connected to building a film and entertainment complex in Shreveport, Louisiana. That move showed where his focus really sits. While social media might see him posting about disputes like the Jim Jones situation, his bigger attention appears to stay on long-term business plays and expansion plans. While 50 Cent is busy helping build a 9-figure film production setup in Louisiana and growing his media empire, the Jim Jones situation does not even look like his main focus. To many watching, it looks more like a side situation compared to the bigger business plays he has going on. That difference in scale is what makes the whole situation feel so uneven. On one side, Jones was dealing with issues surrounding access to a studio space. On the other side, 50 Cent has spent years investing in studio spaces and entertainment properties as part of his business. That contrast is exactly why this situation caught so much attention online. This was the same person Jones had publicly criticized on a podcast, and when 50 responded, he did not just respond with words. Instead, he started making moves connected to the business side. Reports and social media posts suggested he built relationships connected to the building itself. That is when the conversation shifted from online jokes to serious business talk. Then on February 20th, 2026, just one day after the security footage spread everywhere, 50 Cent made another headline moment. He posted a photo standing next to the man he identified as Sam, who was described as connected to the building ownership. Both looked relaxed in the photo, but the caption is what really got people talking. 50 wrote, "Sam is my partner, I own the joint. Now you're gonna fix every door you kick, or I'm gonna kick Jimmy by Monday. You're destroying my property." No public ownership documents were included in the post and no official filings were widely circulated at that moment. But 50 did not present it like a maybe, he presented it like a done deal. Suddenly the door-kicking footage was not just viral drama anymore. Now it looked like part of a much bigger power move story. Now the story was being framed differently online. What first looked like a simple lockout situation was now being talked about as possible property damage connected to a space 50 Cent claimed to have invested in. In the public conversation, Jim Jones went from being seen as a locked out tenant to someone now being told to fix a broken door quickly. The situation had clearly escalated. 50 Cent had moved from just posting documents and clips on Instagram to presenting himself as someone with influence over the actual space where the podcast was being recorded. He was no longer just someone commenting from the outside of the situation. Based on his own posts, he was now claiming a business connection tied directly to the building itself. Media personalities like academics and others even started breaking the situation down in street terms. Their take was that this was less about real estate and more about putting Jones in a difficult public position. The idea being that whatever move Jones made next could come with public criticism either way. What really made the ownership claim interesting is how it shifted the public conversation. Before that photo with Sam was posted, this looked like a standard disagreement between a tenant and a property manager. The kind of issue normally handled through contracts and legal channels. But once 50 posted that picture and wrote, "I own the joint," the narrative online instantly changed. Now people were debating whether he really had ownership or influence. And the tough part about that kind of claim is that it cannot really be settled through social media posts alone. Reports say Jim Jones responded in his own way online. Instead of posting legal responses, he shared training videos showing himself working out on a martial arts dummy. The clip showed him staying active and focused physically while the online conversation kept heating up around the business dispute. Referencing the 1985 movie The Last Dragon, Jim Jones even posted a training clip and captioned it, "Kung Fu Jim is what they call him, no locked doors LOL." He also joked about figuring out what he should promote now that he had attention back on him. The message seemed clear. He was trying to show confidence and keep things light while the situation was blowing up online. Meanwhile, Mano stepped in as a voice for the podcast crew and took a more direct, factual approach. He appeared on Angela Yee's Way Up show and laid out their side of the story. According to him, the lease was structured for 5 years and any rent responsibility sat with the LLC, not individuals personally. He also claimed the eviction had not followed proper legal process. According to his explanation, there was no court order, no city marshal, and no sheriff involved in removing them. He said the locks were changed improperly and that police were eventually called to the location. According to his account, the situation ended with the crew regaining access to the space. He described the entire situation as capped and even filmed a walkthrough inside the studio to show the equipment was still there and the operation was not permanently shut down. Out of everything the crew did publicly, that response looked like their most structured pushback. The walkthrough did show they could still access the building and that the podcast setup was still intact. But in the world of online perception, that only solved part of the problem. Showing equipment does not erase viral moments. It does not remove the image of your landlord standing next to someone you are publicly clashing with, and it does not make people forget the security footage that already spread everywhere. So while Mano may have strengthened their legal argument in the public eye, the internet conversation had already formed strong opinions. Fair or unfair, online narratives tend to move fast, and by the time explanations arrive, people have often already picked sides. By this point, the public narrative already felt locked in, but 50 Cent was not finished adding more layers to the story. While the business drama was still unfolding, he was reportedly preparing another move, this time using music and visuals to bring up old controversies connected to Jim Jones's past, and this next step hit a completely different nerve. What some people online called his final move came on March 7th, 2026. 50 Cent jumped on Max B's track No More Tricks from his 2024 public domain project, gave it a new spin by calling it No More Tricks, No More Lies, and added a fresh verse. The production was handled by Dame Grease, no guest features, just 50 speaking directly and mentioning members of the podcast crew by name in his lyrics. Then just 3 days later on March 10th, things escalated again. 50 Cent revealed a fully AI-generated music video for the track. The video, reportedly created by digital artist A Man of Dot, showed animated versions of 50 and Max B moving through New York City, while different scenes appeared referencing the ongoing drama. One of the most talked about moments showed a depiction of Jim Jones sitting in what looked like an interrogation room, matching lyrics that referenced past allegations about cooperation rumors that have circulated online for years. That visual got people talking because it seemed designed to remind viewers of old debates that have followed his career. Observers pointed out that the reference appeared connected to past public controversies, including discussions that resurfaced around September 2019 during Tekashi 6ix9ine's federal racketeering trial in Manhattan. To be clear, these topics have been widely debated online and in media coverage with different sides offering very different interpretations. By bringing those themes back into a music video format, 50 Cent showed he was not just responding through business or social media anymore. He was now using entertainment itself as part of the back and forth, turning the situation into something that stretched across music, visuals, and online conversation all at once. During Tekashi 6ix9ine's federal trial in 2019, his testimony included claims that Jim Jones had connections to the 9 Trey Bloods. Prosecutors also played a recorded phone call from November 2018 that reportedly included Jones speaking with someone alleged to be a gang leader, discussing frustrations about 6ix9ine speaking publicly about gang matters. Important detail though, Jones himself was never charged or arrested in connection to that case. The recording was used as part of the broader case against other defendants, not against Jones personally. Still, moments like that never really disappear online. 50 Cent has repeatedly referenced that situation over the years, with critics debating what it meant and supporters saying it proved nothing legally. It became another talking point in their long-running tension. Another wave of accusations popped up in May 2024 after a video circulated showing Jim Jones involved in a physical dispute at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. After the incident, footage showed Jones speaking with responding officers about what happened. That is when online. Personality Whack100 reposted the clip and publicly accused Jones of cooperating, using strong language and labeling the situation as telling. Jones pushed back on those claims. He argued that explaining what happened after being involved in an incident does not equal snitching, especially if you are the one involved in the conflict. No charges were reported from that situation involving Jones, and the debate mostly stayed in the court of public opinion. A third set of rumors goes back even further and ties into long-discussed tensions connected to Max B's 2009 legal case. Over the years, there have been interviews and online conversations where Cameron and others hinted at internal disagreements within Dipset related to that period. However, these claims have remained part of ongoing debate and speculation rather than confirmed legal findings. Max B himself has spoken publicly from prison about different parts of that history, but it is important to note something clearly. No court records, no official filings, and no confirmed legal evidence have ever tied Jim Jones directly to that case. Jones has never been charged or formally questioned in connection to it either. That part often gets lost when old stories start circulating again online. And that is what makes these three situations, the 6ix9ine trial mentions, the airport incident clip, and the Max B rumors, so complicated. Because in reality, what matters most in these public moments is not always what can be proven in court. What matters is what people can easily search, replay, and debate on the internet. Every clip, every headline, every old interview becomes digital history. So when 50 Cent wants to bring attention back to those conversations, he does not always have to directly accuse anyone. Sometimes all it takes is a visual reference, a casting choice, or a storyline in a music video. The internet usually does the rest of the talking on its own. That is why Max B appearing in the AI video people were discussing in March 2026 caught so much attention. Fans saw it as more than just a creative decision. Many saw it as a symbolic callback to old tensions and unresolved conversations that still get debated today. In that context, Max B's appearance was not just about music. It looked more like a calculated reference meant to remind viewers of past narratives connected to Jim Jones's reputation, whether proven or just debated online. That kind of move shows how powerful symbolism can be in entertainment conflicts. When 50 Cent captioned the post, "I am the algorithm," that line hit people differently. He was not talking about lyrical skill in that moment. The message many took from it was about influence, about understanding how attention moves, how stories spread, and how public opinion can shift in the digital era. In today's media world, controlling attention can sometimes matter just as much as controlling the music charts, and that might be the biggest takeaway people saw from this entire situation. The AI video was also a clear show of resources that Jim Jones simply could not match at that moment. 50 Cent did not need to book a director, rent locations, hire a full production crew, or even schedule a shoot day. Instead, he had a fully animated diss video created that spread across hip-hop platforms within a single day, and reports suggested it cost way less than a traditional music video. While Jones was responding with phone-recorded training clips trying to keep his image strong, 50 was using AI tools to create a polished visual aimed straight at the whole podcast crew. The gap between what each side had access to, technically, financially, and creatively, was obvious in every frame people watched. It all started when Jim Jones criticized 50 Cent's Netflix documentary back in December 2025 and called it a mockumentary. Just a few months later, by March 2026, 50 had responded in multiple ways, from posting alleged rent issues to sharing lease paperwork with Jones's government name, to showing the door-kicking footage, to announcing a business connection to the building, and finally dropping that AI-assisted diss visual referencing old controversies. And through all of it, there were no physical confrontations, no criminal charges connected to the back and forth, and no screaming matches on camera. Just strategy, timing, and public moves that kept people talking. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who follows hip-hop drama. Drop your thoughts in the comments too. Whose move surprised you the most in this situation?